sample assignment number 1. Our task is to create a graph of means, and so what we're going to do is essentially try to replicate something that looks like this. It's a bar graph, and we've got along the x-axis response times, and then we have the means for the two different conditions. So let's do that. So what I'll do is start is to create a little tiny table that contains the information that the chart part of the Excel needs to in order to make the graph. So let's copy the header information. So this is just basically labels that Excel is going to use when it makes the bar graph. So this corresponds to a label down here, task A mean response time, and then this corresponds to the task B mean response time label here for this bar. So I've got my labels, and of course the other thing I need in order to make the graph of means is the means. So let's see if we can grab those. I'm going to copy those. Move this over here a little bit. So in order to copy these things into here and paste them so that we'll actually have some values that the part of Excel that makes the charts can actually use, I have to introduce an important concept. So first of all, if I just do a straightforward paste, so I'm just going to paste these in there, you can see that Excel goes a little bit bonkers. The reason why it goes bonkers is because what I've got in here is a formula, so equals average. And the reason why Excel is going bonkers is it can't find the values that would correspond to the range of cells it wants to kind of create the average for. And the reason why is because of our old friend relative cell references. So when I move my formula over here, it basically is trying to look for references or cells up here somewhere which don't exist. And so it's having a bit of a hissy fit because it can't find those things. Now this is kind of understandable, and again, it's sort of one of those things where you kind of have to understand that formulas, when you move them around, look for data in different places than they did originally. So if you understand that concept, you won't have too much of a hissy fit yourself. So let's see if we can fix that. So what we need to do is we're going to get rid of each of those, and I have to go back over here and recopy the values. Let's just do that. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a secret trick to deal with this problem. It's not really that secret trick, but anyway, so you go up to the Edit menu, and you can see that there's two types of paste. So the standard paste that we used just previously was just regular old paste. There's also something here called Paste Special, so let's click on that and see what happens. When you click on Paste Special, you get a whole bunch of options for what exactly it is that you want to paste in Excel. So you can paste just the formulas, you can paste the values, you can do all sorts of things. All we want are the values. We don't want the formula, we don't want any comments, we don't want any other formatting stuff. We don't want any of that stuff. We just want the actual output of the formulas that we use for creating those means. So now if I click OK, there you can see the means. And that's fabulous. So now what we can do is we can start the process of actually making the graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to Insert, and I'm going to look for Chart, and I'm going to look for a column chart. This is the same option that we used when we created the histogram. But you remember the histogram originally started off as a bar graph, and we did some modifications in order to turn it into a histogram. So now I'm going to choose this as my option, and so Excel has nicely created this chart here. And if we look at the chart and look at it a little bit more detail, I'm just going to go in here and make it a little bit bigger. So you can see that it kind of looks a lot like the version I want you to make, but there's a couple of differences. First of all, there's some labels missing, so we're going to put those in. And the other thing is that the range of values along the y-axis is here 0 to 900, whereas over here it goes from 640 to 820. And this is just basically Excel using an algorithm to create a sort of a range of values for the y-axis based on the range of values in the data set. Okay, so sometimes that works out okay, and so what Excel does automatically is fine. But here's an example where I want you to do something different. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go to text options. Whoops, axis options. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is, by default, one of the things Excel does is do a lot of things automatically. So we want to kind of turn the automatic part of this graph making operation off. So in order to do that, I'm going to get rid of this automatic thing, and I'm going to force Excel to make the y-axis intersect with the horizontal axis at 0 milliseconds. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this into 0. Okay. Now the other thing I have to do is I have to fix the minimum and maximum values. So I can do that up here where it says bounds. And so if I want my minimum to be 0, so I'll just type in 0. And I want my maximum to be 900. So you can already see that it's fixed the 0 part, and it's also fixed the 900 part. And voila, that's the range that we want. Now, there's a couple other things that we may want to do. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of these grid lines here. So I'll get rid of those. And I'm going to get rid of this title here. Oops, there we go, check title. Now, the other thing I'm going to do right now while I'm in here is I need to do some stuff that kind of fixes up the actual chart. It's missing an axis there, basically. So I need to have an axis on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an axis in, and here we go, a line, and I want to have a solid line. So let's put a solid line in, and I think that's good enough. There's some other things I did over here, but I'm not going to bother doing them in the version that I'm going to show you because this will be fine. So now we have an axis in there. Maybe we'll put an axis in here too, just a solid line to kind of make it look similar to the y-axis. Now the other thing is that I'm also missing some information about the labels here, so let's put that in. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to add my chart element, axis titles, and I want to put, let's say, do the vertical one first. So I'm just going to call this, let's see, RT, and then I'm going to put the units, milliseconds. Okay, that's great. Now the other thing I'm going to do is add a axis label for the x-axis, and that's my horizontal axis in Excel talk. And click in there, and we'll just call this, I'll just call it task response times. It's a little bit different than the label I used in the other version, but it basically means the same thing. So now that's basically my figure. So if I pull back, you can see that I've changed a few other things. I think I made that bolded and made this bolded as well. And there's like maybe, I think there's some tick marks here that you can add. You can play around with this because you can find tick marks, I believe, somewhere in one of these options. But anyway, it's not necessary. You've got the values here, and you've got the labels that you need to have, and you're good to go. Okay, that's it.